All right, we're going to be looking at some Masters Sigma over here, right? And most importantly, we're going to be looking at how we're going to be able to play around things like Reinhardt on Sigma, right? So how are you playing around Reinhardt on Sigma? Well, how do you play around counters on any hero? Let's ask that, right? What makes counters so important? What makes counters so strong against us? And the thing is, the reason why counters are so powerful is because they are going to be stronger than our heroes in direct confrontations where they get to control the variables of the engagement, right? So for Reinhardt, that would look like, okay, I'm just going to close the distance and start swinging hammers onto you, and there's nothing that you can really do about it because I'm just more effective than you are in that range, right? So how do we kind of deal with this? Well, for starters, we either make it so that they do not have the ability to kind of control the variables, right? To kind of control all of the situation, the kind of situations where they can take direct encounters with us, right? And we also do so where if they do allow us to if we do get into a kind of a situation where we can make a direct encounter and have a direct fight, right? There are going to be external consequences to my counter from my teammates, right? And we're going to kind of look at how this kind of works. We're going to kind of allow this for, look at some examples of this and try and see how we can manipulate map space in order to do this, right? Now, if we kind of look right here, right, to just show an example as to what's going on. This Reinhardt cannot walk into me and my team right now, right? Why can this Reinhardt not walk into me and my team? Well, for a couple of reasons. Well, the biggest of them being that if Reinhardt tries to walk into me in my position and where I am, he is going to be taking damage from multiple different angles at the same time that his team cannot support and help him with, right? So he is going to be pushing into a 1v5 situation if he decides to kind of walk in on me right now, right? Okay. Second thing, if he does decide to walk in right now, he has no real escape options or ability to kind of create more distance back away from my team to kind of get out of it. So he's more in a committed situation, committed scenario. And he doesn't necessarily want or need to be in a committed scenario right now because all he wants to do is control map space, right? So if we really think about it, which one of us has the advantage right now? Well, it's going to be us, right? So now if we ask ourselves, how are we going to continue to make certain situations like this where we are going to be in the advantage while also being able to kind of apply pressure and to kind of manipulate the game such that we're going to have advantages later down the line? Well, we can try and see if we can, manipulate where we are on the map to kind of grant us more of these situations, right? So for instance, let's kind of look at what's going on over here, right? Let's kind of analyze the whole entire picture, right? So if we can kind of look up and we can kind of see the whole picture in this sense, where we are, right? Our team space is around here, right? The enemy team is controlling all of the space up here, correct? If this Reinhardt enters my team space, he dies. If I just enter his team space, I die, right? So because of this kind of trade that's been happening here, what we've essentially created is a neutral situation where neither of us can kind of go in and commit onto each other, right? But what ends up happening is that I'm now in a kind of, because of the fact that Reinhardt isn't really great in these situations, I'm now in a position where I can just shoot and spam damage into him as much as I want, and he just has to sit there because he can't really do anything back to me, right? And we kind of like the scenario. Problem is that we need to, push this cart right here. We need to get objective progress, right? So how are we going to try and go about getting more objective progress? Well, we are going to try and compromise the integrity of this space over here. Okay, so But if we look at kind of what the problem is we don't want to get close to Reinhardt. We do not want to get close. So how do we start compromising their structure right up here without getting close to Reinhardt? Well, if we want to get closer to these guys while getting further away from this guy, it's just kind of basic mathematics, right? Think about triangles. All we need to do is make another angle here, right? Because now we are going to be closing the gap on the back line while making further distance away from the Reinhardt, right? This is kind of what off angles are going to do for you in terms of playing around your counters and trying to control map space in a way that matters. If my team walks up this way, walks up through this lane, and I decide, okay, I'm just going to go and space myself away from this dude, and I'm going to push myself closer to his team, then if Reinhardt wants to contribute to the fight, he's going to have to walk into a space where the majority of your team is going to be present, right? Which is going to end with him likely getting pushed out and dying. We now get to control when this guy moves, as opposed to him just sitting here anchoring the entire time, right? Now let's see how you kind of go about doing such a thing, right? Because you do this pretty well. We rotate up through here, clear out this space. So again, if we kind of look at the situation, right? If we kind of, my fault about that. Okay. If we kind of look at the situation, we have now closed the distance on this backline, right? We are right next to it. But if we look at how far away we are from the counter, right? We are a lot farther away. This guy cannot extend any distance to get to us in a reasonable time frame, and now we are golden, right? We are cooking because we have the ability to completely destroy his backline over here without him even being in the fight at all. And if he wants to get into the fight, he's going to have to go through here, or he's going to have to go through here into space that we currently control, right? This is great. This is powerful and amazing, right? And now Reinhardt's here. He's back. But then again, looking at the situation, pretty much a 1v3, right? So now this Reinhardt has to run away and even does. Okay, that's great. We've done a really, really, really good job so far at kind of playing around this Reinhardt and trying to kind of push this Reinhardt to, in positions that he doesn't like. This is going to be great. So now let's see how we kind of go about doing this later on. Right? Start poking here, poking here, poking here. Okay. This guy went too far up, whatever. Who cares? All right. Now, let's kind of look at the scenario. First of all, we need to ask ourselves, do we need to push up and take more space? Well, the answer is no. And the reason why the answer is no is because we already have control over the objective that's sitting right, that Wu Yang is sitting on top of right now. So because we already have control over the objective, all we need to do is keep holding map space. But we have a problem. This Reinhardt over here has the ability to close the gap onto us and force another one of those situations where he is very, very strong. All right. So how do we make sure that he does not get this opportunity, right? Well, let's kind of create another one of those triangles that worked earlier, right? We want to make it so that he cannot enter this space, right? So that we can kind of push the cart further away. But if we are too close to this Reinhardt, then it means that we are probably going to get pushed out and die. So how do we make some space between him and us without getting too close to our team? Well, we can just move back this way and take space on this side of the map. That way, if Reinhardt decides to walk onto my team, he is now turning his back to me, right? If he decides instead to walk onto me, right, he is now turning his back to my team. This creates a kind of a situation where this Reinhardt does not want to do, does not want to be in this space, right? Allowing us to push the cart forward. Now, let's say hypothetically that we instead decided to back up to our team over here, right? Well, wouldn't that create the same situation because Reinhardt would still be taking a 1v4? Yes, temporarily, but if we really think about it, what is his team going to do? Well, they're just going to drop and then take the space that's out here, right? Why wouldn't they be able to take the space out here if we were here? Well, because this backline does not want to close the gap on us. They don't want to get close to us. So they are going to stay as far away from us as possible. And if we position ourselves in a spot like this, then they can't sit here and take this space comfortably to help their Rein push into my team. All right? This is the reason why these kind of off angles are powerful, because they kind of make these triangle situations between you, the enemy team's tank, and your team, right? Making decent distance between you. It means that this Reinhardt cannot just walk straight into here to try and push either one of us. He's going to have to try and either wait until the cart gets pushed back into this space out here, or he's going to have to go all the way out here to get rid of the triangle, to break that triangle, right? This is really why playing off angles on Sigma is extremely powerful, and this is how you're going to be able to anchor on Sigma in terms of your positioning. But let's look at what ends up happening here. We do not create that kind of anchor position, right? So obviously, if we kind of look at it, right, we're way too close to this Reinhardt, so we're going to need to run back, right? He starts walking up and taking space, so it's going to be a 1v5 scenario, but then again, where's his team? Right here in this space helping him out. If we were back here, then it means that, oh, these guys aren't able to kind of take this space and control this space as we want, right? But then, all right, hold on. Hold the phone. Let's rewind this for a second. Why can't the enemy team just all decide to push me, right, down this way, right? Why can't they? Well, again, it's going to be a situation where if they decide to try and do that, all I would need to do is give appropriate space. And then what does my team do? Take the space from them, right? I would back up, my team would push in, and then they would be able to kind of pressure out the space and not allow them to stay there anymore. So this creates a stable situation where the enemy team cannot directly engage onto our team rashly without breaking our setup, right? Again, this does not work well for you. Okay, now that we've kind of established how we're going to go about holding space here to make sure that we're staying in neutral fights that we like, right? Let's see how we can do that given the situations that pop up, right? Now, if we look at our current positioning right here, do we like the situation? Well, I mean, kind of, yeah. Again, what space are we controlling? Space all the way out here, waiting for our team to walk up, right? If this Reinhardt wants to push into this space at all, right? Pushing me out, pushing anyone else that's in here, he is going to be shot at by multiple different angles, which sucks for him, right? Now, can his team push up and try and help him? Well, that's, again, going to be difficult to do for his team because, again, they want to make space from this. They want to make space from this, because these things are going to kill them if we allow, if way too many of them walk in here, right? And the enemy team kind of knows that. So they're trying to stay back and hold space out back here because this is just more effective for their characters. But that allows us to kind of take the map space out that we want, right? Now, why does this become problematic, right? Well, if we kind of look at the situation as to why this becomes problematic. What does this now allow the Reinhardt to do, right? What did he kind of just do with this? Well, he took us away from a situation where he could get shot at from multiple different angles and into a situation where he can only realistically get shot at majorly from one, right? Maybe kind of two-ish, but he can kind of shield off all of these people at the same time now, while also being supported by his team out here. This is a nice shield, decent shield, but again, he's probably these situations are going to kind of change given a little bit more time, right? So this essentially means that now Reinhardt's in the position where I can't walk forward because I'm going to get separated between 1-2 different angles, right? He has the angle advantage over me because we kind of gave this space. How would I kind of change this? How would I play this differently? Well, I could just back up this way, right? If I'm going to back up this way, I still get the off angle. My team still has the off angle, and I'm making some distance from this Reinhardt. But again, I'm still controlling this angle, not letting him have it, not letting him take it away from me, and not letting him push me out into the open and in main, right? Problem, if I'm over here and he shoots and he hits me with a shatter, it only hits me. If I'm in main and he hits me with a shatter, it can hit somebody else, which is just it. Now we pop ults and we kind of win games because, our team just does that, right? So, good on you and your team. Okay, let's look at this. Walking up here, pushing that, killing him. Right. Right. We're pushing up aggressively, right? But if we kind of look at the situation, we have a decent off-angle split, right? We've got one kind of unit over here with Baptiste and Widowmaker. We've got another kind of unit over here with you and Wu Yang on main, right? And Ashe pushing cart. What does this mean? If Reinhardt walks onto one of these guys, then the other can shoot them in the back. If Reinhardt walks onto us over here, then these guys can kind of shoot for free in the back as well, right? So this kind of feels a little bit more comfortable, but again, your team doesn't know that. So, because of the fact that your team kind of screwed up here, right, by dropping off of this high ground, how are we going to adjust this? How are we going to run away from these guys such that we can still keep our angle? Well, let's push back here. If the Reinhardt starts walking onto me this way, he is going to be in the line of sight of my Widow and my Baptiste and my Wu Yang shooting at him in the back. He does not like that, right? So it means even if he gets into his effective range, he's still going to be losing because he's going to be taking a 1v4, right? But now he doesn't have to. And now, again, this allows his team to walk back and support him in this space, right? Without him being in a situation where we can split, the attention so that his team can't help him just completely deal with only one angle at the same time. We popped ults and we won, mainly because of the fact that, again, these guys are idiots. Reinhardt probably shouldn't have just hard inted straight into your back line, but Widow does get a pick. Right. Right? Let's look at the situation. You and Baptiste here. Ashe and Wu Yang here. We kind of like this. Problem, though, we're playing a little bit too close up here, which means it's a little easy for the enemy team to kind of just decide to walk straight into us and ignore our backline. I would just make a slight adjustment by playing a little bit farther back. That's all, right? Just a little bit farther back. That makes you a little bit, harder to clear out of this kind of space that you're in. But we like this. We like this. This feels great. Problem. Right? You running back here. Baptiste got forced out, so he's kind of sitting down here now. But again, this Sojourn can easily force your Baptiste out. Easily kind of take this space, right? Again, she doesn't have to worry about this now, because like this is like, whatever, I don't care. And now Reinhardt gets to walk in here for free without getting shot in the back. Right? Your Widow decides to make a nice angle over here. But it probably could have been a little bit better in terms of the situation if we stayed here in this spot. Right? If multiple people decided to kind of hard push us, then Wu Yang and Ashe can get the freest angles to shoot in their lives. Right? But now this feels horrible kind of trying to walk up in here. Even though we have a pick, right? We actually have 2 picks because your DPS are kind of awesome right now, right? Still feels hard to walk in here. And all they need to do is press 1 button and you're dead. And you're traded. And your team has to run. But again, Reinhardt did what? Ran headfirst into your entire team and then got hit with multiple off angles, right? That spaced him out. What happens? He's stuck. He can't shield both this and this, so he has to give up space in order to be able to do that. He has to give up space to be able to deal with 2 angles at once, right? Even when he's winning. And then our Widow just comes in from another angle and gets another pick, right? Your team is really great at this. We just need to have a better idea as to how we can actually support them. Okay, this situation is going to be hard to kind of walk over here and just get another off angle. We don't have a perk. So this is going to be one of those situations where you're just going to have to sit in main, right? But the great idea is that if we get pushed back, if these guys decide to walk in, then we have another situation where we can take more angles, right? Because we can take angles in this spot of the map. So it means that I can probably walk back here, my team can walk back main, or vice versa, whichever one we decide. Right? And then now we create that exact same scenario where Reinhardt can't just walk in and, walk on one thing or walk on one thing and then be fine and be safe. Right? We walked way too hard in to try and hard force that right now. We don't need to do that. Right? And then, again, we go back here where we cannot kind of stop this Reinhardt from walking for free. Right? Now, we have ults, so we can use it to force him out, which is great. But argument could be we would not have needed the ult if we were back here. Right? Or we could have popped ult in a better scenario where more people were back so we could get a better ultimate. I don't mind this ult. I'm just going to say that I don't mind this ult. What I kind of think, though, is that ulting from here versus ulting from here, same exact value, same exact meaning. But in here, in this situation, if you decide you don't want to ult, it's going to be better for you. Right? Okay, walk up. Push these guys out. Push these guys back. All right. Okay. Now we're going to start talking about the distance aspect. We talked about the off angles a lot, right? But that distance aspect is also extremely important as well, right? We cannot be too close to the enemy in comparison to where our team is, right? What we have been using this entire time is the threat of our teammates' pressure in their backline, right, or to shoot people in the back as they start walking on us and pushing on us in order to kind of live and survive in situations where we would kind of want to play in a greedier positions, right? If our team is too far away, then the threat of that is kind of gone, right? If Reinhardt just decides to push us right now, he can do so only from one angle as opposed to from multiple, while also having angles from his teammates to help him on different sides of the map. We cannot push up and take too much space because we don't have the team presence, right, to be able to support the space and to take the angles that matter to stop this guy from walking in, right? So you have to watch out for walking too far in. right? Right? Now, what could have been better? What could have been better of a situation here, right? Well, what if we just chill back here? And we just say back here we can still poke. But as the Rein pushes forward, he doesn't get to shatter straight through main, and we get shattered over here behind a wall. It's in line of sight of my team, out of line of sight of his team, because frankly, this Reinhardt is overextending, right? And we get to punish that in that case. But right now, because we walked too far forward and we weren't able to walk out in time, or at least to a space that was safe, to a decent off angle, then we don't get this same luxury, right? So that's Immor, that's a whole bunch of cooldowns, that's Wu Yang ult, and even still we lose the space and die, right? Just something to really watch out for. Okay. Reinhardt too far in, getting shot at by Ashe, but also getting shot at in the back over here as well. So he's like, oh, shoot, way too many angles. My team can't help me. My team can't save me, so I'm just going to run away, especially since we got the pick over here on the Sojourn, right? Right? We want to be the ones making him do that. We don't want him to be the one deciding when that happens. Right? Again, distance, right? We're walking up a lot. We're walking up, you know, large amount. We can just wait, chill, wait, let the cart get pushed up a little bit further. Then we can start walking up with the cart to use the cart as kind of cover there, inching up closer, allowing our team to kind of take the space that they want slowly, right? And that'll allow us to maintain our angular advantage. Right now, we don't have that current ability. And the only thing that's stopping them from kind of hard walking onto our team right now is the fact that they've got people in spawn, right? Okay, they pop the ults, right? Our Widow dies this time as opposed to theirs, so that's even less great for us, right? And now again, us going down this way and going back to our team in main means that this Reinhardt, once he pins us, is in a perfect position to be able to effectively deal with all of our teams simultaneously, whether it's swing damage or whether it's shielding them all four of you guys off, right? We're over here, we get pushed here, our team can kind of swing up and shoot this Reinhardt in the back, right? Outside of the line of sight of the rest of his team. Now, is that going to realistically help you in this situation? Probably not. But we're gonna see. Okay. Ashe angle over here. Bob angle back behind him. This Reinhardt's completely isolated, completely cut off. He needs to leave. Right? Which makes space for your team. Way to go, Ashe. Thank you for making space for us. Right? We walk up really far. We can use the card a little bit more here. Right? To kind of live. We use the Bob value as well. Using the cart, using Bob value, we walk up, we shoot people. This Sojourn really wants to shoot at your backline, but again, she's going to have to go through you first, right? Which you have a lot of, you know, kind of map geometry and help from teammates to be able to allow that to happen. This is pretty strong. This is pretty good in terms of our setup right now, right? Rein can't walk because of Bob. Nano Sojourn can't kill 30,000 people because of your angle over here, right? Right? Again, he walks in hard right onto your team, but again, he's walking into 30,000 different angles. This Reinhardt is going to die immediately, right? You just chilling and then sitting here keeping that angle situation to make sure that he dies is totally fine. Right? And now we can start walking because they have no off angles to be able to stop us from walking any further. We could just walk on one of these angles at a time. Right? Great. All right, so here the Reinhardt's going to try and see if he can extend himself into our space, and we're going to see how we do this, how we try and deal with this Reinhardt. All right. Okay. Do we already see the problem? Let's think about this. Reinhardt's walking into us, and instead of walking away from him on an off angle, we walk directly backwards. Right? The problem with that is that it doesn't give us any way of being able to deal with this Reinhardt's damage or ability to block our damage from any other direction, right? So if we kind of look at this, we walk backwards, it means that he can comfortably shield, push all of us back in this direction. We can't do any damage to him. His entire team can walk up this way and then be perfectly fine, right? So how are we going to do this? Well, we have two options, right? First and foremost, walking into this room. But then you're like, wait a minute, I'm walking into a small room against the Reinhardt. Isn't that going to suck? Well, again, where's your team? You've got your Wu Yang and your Baptiste with a really, really strong angle to be able to shoot this Reinhardt in the back, right? As he's starting to rotate around here. Plus you have this Ashe over here to help you out in this room as well, right? We can kind of surround him and kind of shoot at him in the back. Also, what we can do is instead of walking directly backwards towards our team, we could potentially walk kind of in towards this room area over here, right? And then have the rest of our team kind of help, you know, the other way, kind of shooting around him as he's kind of trying to come back in, or helping to kind of clear out the rest of his team back here. I think that this is just easiest to go for because it creates the biggest kind of split off. So I think that that could probably work, right? All right, so in this fight, we're going to see a big example of, you know, pretty much the exact same concepts that we were going over earlier, but I think that this will kind of make it a little bit more intuitive here, right? So we're fighting here, we're taking here, you hit a really good shield cutting off this Reinhardt, start shooting at this Reinhardt, and again, right, we want to make sure that we are splitting ourselves away so this Reinhardt makes a decision. What would be the best position to do that from? Back here. If the Reinhardt walks into us, then he's walking away from our team. He's turning his back to our team, and if he's walking into our team, he's turning his back to us. We deal damage from two different angles, and that's going to be fine, right? In order for the Reinhardt to actually push us out in a way that's safe and effective, he has to go all the way over here, all the way over here, and all the way over here just to be able to isolate that angle. And in that time, this is a very expensive rotation to make. In that time frame, we can do a lot of damage. We can, you know, get a lot of value, right? And it's just really, really strong at wasting his time, okay? But we decide as the Reinhardt pushes in, we're going to sit in main. We're going to stay in main because main is great. Main is awesome. And then we start getting pushed back this way. And then now it's going to make it really, really easy for his backline to kind of walk up over here, right? Okay. And now that his backline's kind of walked up, again, we could still be doing damage to the Juno into the Hanzo from this direction, from this position, right? Now that his backline is walked up, he hits a pin on you. Now why? Now he's pinning straight into our team space. So why is this pin not so bad, right? Because right afterward, he can shield off your entire team, number one. And number two, his entire team can come off the back of that and start using the space. He's made this space for his team. And if you were still here, that pin would have been an idiot, stupid pin from this Reinhardt, right? But this option becomes available to him now because you are no longer holding this position. All right, now for this last fight that we're going to be looking at, we can see that Reinhardt and his team are about to pop a whole bunch of ultimates, start walking down main, right? We are going to be situating ourselves in main in front of us. Now we are slept in this instance, so we're not going to talk about that. But the thing is, this Reinhardt is going to pop, is going to get nanoed, right? They're going to be popping orbital, and they're going to walk down with two really strong support ults and clear all of the space out immediately. But they're not going to get very far, and we're going to start seeing why. Well, first of all, we hit the high noon, and you hit a really good rock, so that slows down their push a little bit. All right, our Wu Yang even still dies here, but two really important things started happening. Number one, your Cass, instead of continuing to walk backwards, kind of walked out here through this space, right? And number two, Baptiste is still holding this angle back here, right? Which means a couple of things. Number one, if the Reinhardt wants to keep running into you or into this Baptiste, he is going to get shot in the back by Cass, and Cass is not in the LOS of the rest of his team out here, which makes it significantly easier for him to kind of do these damage safely, right? Second thing, this Reinhardt is still, if he sits here and tries to hold this space, is going to get shot in the back by Baptiste. And even if he completely extends even further into your team in a way that does matter, he is in a perfect position to stop their backline from developing to help this Reinhardt out. This Reinhardt's essentially completely isolated, sandwiched inside of our space, and in a situation where he really can't do much here. So, of course, the nano runs out, he's going to start backing off, and then we're going to have a whole lot more, we're going to start having a whole lot more fun in this fight, right? He still can't move. He tries to pin straight in, but again, he can't finish that pin, and he has to resort to the shatter. Now, he does hit it because we are playing out in the open, but even still, given the shatter, he still cannot take a majority of this space yet. Why? Because this Cass is still in a position to actually stop him from walking forward, right? Now, he's going to get walked on, because we aren't necessarily in position to help him. But that gives us the perfect setup to be able to start hitting this flux and be able to push a lot of people back down mid, right? This is what we want. This Cass was in a position to stop this Reinhardt from walking forward, slow this Reinhardt down, and even though he died, we still got a significant trade off of it and pushed the enemy team back, right? That's really great, really strong, really powerful for us, okay? These are kind of the things that you would want to be thinking about when you're trying to figure out how to play into a Reinhardt or just playing Sigma in general. You want to make sure that you're playing in a position at an off angle such that you can lock down space by making it so that the only way the enemy team can contest you is if they're going into space that is contested by multiple different off angles, right? Or at least a sufficient off angle that's strong enough to be able to deal enough damage to prevent them from trying to walk into space that you control. This way, you can position yourself in really greedy positions that are going to be safer for you and your team, even with the threat of the Reinhardt being able to extend into you, right? This hopefully should help you out a little bit better when it comes to positioning yourself while playing against things like Reinhardt's, and also when positioning yourself into any other counters in general. Like, you know, this would be the same thing about with a Ramatra, for example.